Former President of Iceland, Mr. Ólafur Ragnar Grímsson, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to be here with you all today. I'm happy to see so many showing interest in the topic of this plenary. I want to tell you about a place that is very dear to me, a place of incredible contrast, a truly magical sight. I'm talking about Vatnajökull, the largest glacier in Europe and the magnificent area around it, one of Iceland's most dynamic and rugged regions. This is Vatnajökull National Park, the largest protected area in Iceland, established in 2008. As seen on this map, the national park covers a large area of Iceland. If you look at the blue lines over there, or the blue line, in fact, it's over 14% of the entire country. Before becoming the Minister for the Environment and Natural Resources in Iceland, I worked as a park ranger in this area for several summers, and I was really touched by the vastness, the silence, the striking beauty, the incredible lava formations, the pristine oasis, and not the least, the feeling of being tiny in comparison with this all-encompassing nature. Iceland is one of the most active volcanic areas of the world. The tectonic rift zone crosses through Vatnajökull National Park is a remarkable example of geological processes driven by the geomorphic and physiographic forces that shape and continuously reconstruct the Earth's crust. The resulting diversity of landforms, volcanoes, lava fields, mountains, ridges, tindar, riverbeds, canyons, and sands is truly unique among volcanic areas in the world. The presence of the Vatnajökull glacier on top of these interactions makes this environment and the associated landscapes truly one of a kind. The property contains 8 subglacial volcanoes. 2 of them are among the most active in Iceland. And very much to the joy of us Icelanders, Vatnajökull National Park was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List this summer. This means the park has been recognized as having an outstanding universal value, a value for us all here in this room and for all of mankind. And that is a big thing. And for us, this was a watershed. The inscription is a major recognition for Iceland of the geological origin and processes developing and shaping the country. It's important for our national identity, for our tourism, for local governments and communities around the area. It is also highly unusual that such a large part of a country is inscribed on the World Heritage List, and we now have the responsibility to maintain and protect the integrity of the area, not only for us Icelanders, but for the whole world. But this is not all. Vatnajökull National Parks cover approximately 1/3 of the central highland in Iceland. And we Icelanders have ambitions to conserve an even larger part of the central highland. As a matter of fact, we want to conserve the whole central highland of Iceland as a national park. And we want to include the Vatnajökull National Park in our new national park. If anybody counted how many times I said park in this short sentence, I would be interested afterwards to hear about that. But why are we eager to do this? Well, the Central Highland is really a unique place in many perspectives. It all began shortly after the settlement of Iceland when natives started traveling the country. The area served as the shortest travel route between regions, and by traveling over the highland and its glaciers, travelers could more easily pass the glacial rivers that spread out of the lowlands and were easier to pass closer to its source near the glaciers of the highland. The Icelandic sagas also tell stories of famous protagonists, or Vikings, as you might call them, crossing the central highland for battle or hiding from foes. Later, after Christianization of Iceland, bishops used the same routes for clerical visitations. And over time, these highland routes would be marked by cairns, and to this day, the main highland roads that tourists, both Icelandic and foreign travel, follow the same routes as the settlers of Iceland once did. In the 17th and 18th centuries, travels over the highlands seem to have reduced significantly. Perhaps both cause and effect of that reduction was the animistic faith in sticks and stones, in hidden people, trolls in the mountains, creatures in lakes, and complex variety of ghosts roaming the highland. The feeling that the Central Highland was terra incognita started to sink among Icelanders. Later in the 18th century, when Icelandic and foreign natural scientists started taking expeditions to the highland, the natural wonders of the area were gradually revealed. Its multiple volcanoes, glaciers, voluminous rivers and waterfalls, colorful hot springs, vast lava fields, and broad expanses of black volcano sand, all contrasted with oases of vibrant but vulnerable vegetation. Now the Central Highland forms one of the largest territories in Europe which has never been inhabited or cultivated, and this makes the Central Highland one of the last remaining great wilderness areas in Europe, which also makes it very valuable. With rising environmental awareness, rapid decrease in wilderness areas in the world, and increased scientific knowledge, outdoor recreation, and ecotourism, the importance of the area as a natural treasure has increased even further. And in addition, many areas of the Central Highland have suffered land degradation, and despite efforts of farmers in the lowlands to reclaim soils and vegetation, there is still a long way to go to restore many of these ecosystems. So to sum up, all these values, historical, cultural, mystical, scientific, recreational, emotional, and of course natural, are the reason for our desire to protect the whole Central Highland as a national park. As you hear, the values that support the argument for our national parks are not new. The idea of a Central Highland National Park is also not new. Environmental NGOs and scientists involved in research in the area have now and then suggested the idea. But in 2015, a large group of both environmental and outdoor recreational NGOs joined forces with the support of the Umbrella Organization for Tourism in Iceland and issued a statement of intent encouraging Icelandic authorities to establish a Central Highland National Park. This big movement caught the attention of the then-sitting government that appointed a committee to write a report about the prerequisites of establishing a Central Highland National Park, and the government that came to power after that wrote in its mission statement that it would be important to increase protection in the Central Highland. And then now, for the first time, an Icelandic government, the one that is currently in power, has written in its coalition agreement that the Central Highland National Park will be established. And of that, I am very proud. Within few weeks, a political committee, which I appointed in March 2018, will submit a report to me with its suggestions of how a Central Highland National Park shall look like and operate. The committee has representatives from all political parties in Parliament and representatives from the Icelandic Association of Local Authorities. I am, of course, looking very much forward to receiving the report, and I believe wholeheartedly that we will manage to establish a Central Highland National Park that we can all be proud of, and that we will work on this exciting project in close cooperation with municipalities and interested parties. Distinguished guests, a Central Highland National Park will, in my opinion, be Iceland's largest contribution to nature conservation to date. I would like to use this opportunity to inform you that this excellent subject will be explored further in a session organized by my ministry at 11:30 today. The name of the session is World Heritage and Large-Scale Protected Areas in the Arctic and takes place in Háaloft, which is on the 8th floor here in Harpa. As you may find out, only very determined people will be able to attend the session because Háaloft is very difficult to find, as I have experienced myself. But I do hope to see you all there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, glaciers cover over 10% of Iceland, and the Central Highland National Park certainly will have a number of them. But our glaciers are retreating due to the climate crisis. And in August, the whole world media suddenly the attention of the whole world media suddenly turned to Ok, a well-known icy mountain in Iceland that has lost its status as a glacier. And indeed, scientists counted over 300 glaciers in Iceland in year 2000, and 17 years later, 56 of them were actually gone. And this is not a dull statistic, it is a countdown to disaster. In Iceland, we have a project called Melting Glaciers, implemented by the Icelandic Meteorological Office and the Vatnajökull National Park. The goal of the project, which is part of the government's climate change agenda, is to increase awareness about climate change and the associated consequences for glaciers in Iceland and elsewhere. The retreating glaciers in the national park are a powerful example of what is happening right in front of our eyes. Another ally is the University of Iceland Center in Hornafjörður. In a world of changing nature, our national parks play an important role, particularly when it comes to education. Let us take good care of them, and let us put nature first.